Good afternoon. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am their West African correspondent, Edward Amara, based in Kenema City, Sierra Leone. Welcome to this international media platform where we entertain, we inform, and we also try to bring you practical happenings around Africa. Welcome to where we give you current events and tell you about things that are actually happening on the globe, especially when it comes to Mama Africa. It's been hectic. The week has started, but development around the continent is definitely not good, especially when it comes to things that have threat related. Things that may end up to create havoc, pandemonium, and national chaotic situation in Africa. We are so happy, hopeful that we are going to start the weekend or the week with pretty good news. Unfortunately, what's the news that are actually emanating from southern part of Africa, western, eastern, and maybe even in the central part of Africa is definitely not too good to the hearing of Africans, maybe towards our own expectation. Let's first start with the issue of Nigeria. Nigeria conducted her gubernatorial and state assembly election after the presidential, senatorial, and national assembly election that was conducted on the 25th of February. Because of one or two misunderstandings, maybe accusation against INEC, it was consensusly agreed that the election should be postponed by a week. In actual fact, that election would have taken place on the 17th, on the 11th, but they postponed it to the 18th because they had wanted to have an election that will be trouble-free, that will be credible, and maybe that will correct the mistakes that happened during the presidential, national assembly, and senatorial election. Unfortunately, almost the same chaotic situation that happened during the first stage of the election successfully happened during the second stage. Can we say the police never learned? Why INEC delayed the election if all of those accusations would have to reshuffle again? Because we thought that INEC delayed the election by a week to ensure that they correct the mistakes that happened, to ensure that they put maximum or adequate security in place to prevent people evading polls, to prevent armed robbers, bandits, insurgents, or hooligans, hoodlums attacking peaceful voters at the polls. Unfortunately, Lagos was one of the chaotic scenes during the presidential election. And in these states, in the gubernatorial election and state assembly election, it repeated the same thing. People were being attacked, especially peaceful voters. Ballot boxes were catered away. Some of them were tortured. And some of them even were prevented from voting. Up to yesterday, some police stations in Lagos City were definitely voting. So it's a huge slap on INEC's face. Nothing was definitely corrected. And the dispute is still waiting. And this man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been declared a winner. But Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi have until the 31st of March to still table their complaint, to see whether the election can be overturned. But as I said the other time, because of the money involved into conducting Nigeria's election, thinking about the population, security risks, I 100% doubt if whether that particular election result, especially the presidential election result, is going to be overturned. However, for the state assembly and gubernatorial election, there are possibility that things like that can happen. Especially it will happen when you have a president in place who may not have successfully, or if candidate, people supporting the APC now, who may not have support wins into certain states, Mr. President can use that power at the disposal, maybe walk through the legal system, that is the Nigerian judiciary, to ensure that he used the Supreme Court to overturn most of those election results. And we are fearing for demonstration and other things. We saw like Chioma Chukwu, one popular Nollywood actress who was also being attacked. And a lot of media, this scene we are being displayed. So it's a huge disappointment for Africa. It's a slap in the face of democracy. It's an attack of democracy. And what has definitely happened is a clear indication that Nigeria conducted an election under a chaotic atmosphere. And we are going to see the court flooded with court cases against most of the elected candidates. Disputes are liable to take place. At the same time, this election did not solve the wound into Nigeria, did not heal anything. Because people, most states, actually look like Lagos. Now, APC governor, the incumbent has definitely won with 760,000 votes. They could not even vote. The candidate who won the election for APC in Lagos did not even have up to 1 million votes. 760 in a country where you have over 200 million. So there's voting appetite. So people are becoming definitely afraid of what is taking place. Because if you can easily if you can take yourself to the polls to vote, then you are being attacked, you are going to come tortured, maybe bruised or wounded. So peaceful citizens who care for their life and who do not value politics as others will definitely choose not to vote, or not to even approach the polls, because they know the repercussions. Especially where the opposition may be leading or trying to overtake a traditional state that belongs to the ruling party. I think with all the massive vote that Peter Obi got in the presidential election, we are not replicated in the gubernatorial election. Reason being, APC governor has won. But in fact, prior to the announcement of the result, both the LP and the PDP denounced the result and promised to contest it in court, because they knew that the elections, according to them, results were being manipulated in favor of the incumbent gubernatorial candidate. And in places like Niger Delta, Kogi, you talk about Katsina, and other states, reported violence since we are also stated. So what is Nigeria doing with everything? So there could have been no reason to have even postponed the election to a day before yesterday, when nothing was actually done to ensure that voters have been protected, election results happens under a free and fair atmosphere. Unfortunately, since that just came repeating itself. So Nigeria, to me, is a huge slap on democracy. Nothing was being done that we definitely interpret the type of expectation that Africans place on Nigeria. And as a big brother country, they have disappointed the continent. So I wonder if Mamadou or Mahmoud Yakubu can definitely be given the opportunity to go and maybe monitor other pending elections in Africa. What will he do? Go and teach them manipulation, chaotic things? Go and teach them how to divide the beavers results? So these things, it's very funny and very interesting. Unfortunately, nobody's doing anything. And when it becomes everybody's problem, somebody will start to condemn somebody. There we are going to see things happening the other way around. So this is a very huge slap, and I think we are disappointed to be seeing chaotic scenes like that reported on the continent. In Sierra, that is Central African Republic, around 11 Chinese were killed, attacked. We all know Chinese are coming under perpetual attacks on the continent. The embassy of China in Sierra, the Central African Republic, is assiduously working with the government to ensure that they apprehend those who are responsible for the killing of the Chinese citizen. Their president has condemned the act. Then you watch at places like Malawi, another cyclone took place over there. A lot of people's life were actually lost during that particular stage. Then you watch like places like DRC Congo, war is still taking place over there. In Ethiopia, especially in the Tigray region, famine is definitely about to affect over 2 million people. So what are the scenario in Africa? Things are definitely not happen. Of course, we have normal conflict area like North Africa. Always news emanating from the area is definitely not good, and we aren't definitely happy with those developments. But one of the two things that capture the attention of us today is the chaotic scenes that are actually going on in Kenya and South Africa. Let's start on South Africa. We all know the result of popular demonstration or protest in South Africa. South Africa is seated on a gunpowder, where arms and ammunition are found in public and especially the civilians, where racial discrimination is an established factor, where xenophobic mentality is also the very known culture of most South Africans, where apartheid regime existed over 200 years. Now, where we have seen on several occasions, each time there is a public discontent, public demonstration, maybe against the unscrupulous movement of the government, whenever people like the EFCC, that is the Economic Freedom Party, led by Julius Malema, call for public demonstration, the result is a reprisal against peaceful black and other African citizens who are staying in the country over there, maybe to look for their survival. So, a public protest was called for today. The South African government, led by Cyril Ramaphosa, denounced the protest, saying that it does not have the police backing, and the economic situation of South Africa can definitely not enable anybody to come out and protest. And they are protesting for two things. One, for the failure of electricity power. I think if it were in Sierra Leone, every day we would have been on the street because we know nothing about light. Thank God, with the arrival of SFPP, we have seen perpetual light coming on now. But before this, nobody can protest for light because you are not seeing light. But with this present government, I think light is now stable, road construction, whatsoever thing that going on. Maybe we can ask different ways for us to get light instead of using another way to ensure that your goal. They say, of course, protests and demonstration are definitely part of democracy, but the manner in which South Africa display their own is too much of crime, because the very poor people that we may be thinking that they are going to protect will be the very poor people that will come under attack. They will be looted, they will be tortured, some of them will be killed, some of them will be raped, some of their properties will be set on fire, and most of their property have been set on fire on several occasions. So they are protesting for high let me just say a skyrocketing in prices or increment in the basic needs of South Africa. Then they are also saying that electricity is no longer perpetual, so the failure in electricity power. Then above all, the EFCC is calling for the resignation of President Cyril Ramaphosa. And what they said, when Cyril Ramaphosa said nobody has the right to go on the street, if anybody does without police permission, you are going to be taken as a threat against the state, and the law will deal with you decisively. Julius Malema, in retaliation, said they are going to come out and do a public protest. Anybody who tries to stop them will definitely meet his maker. And today in KwaZulu-Natal, in places like Cape Town, Pretoria, Johannesburg, series of demonstrations have taken place over there. Tires have been burned. Normal life of people stopped. and we are expecting the scene to continue. In fact, the situation is so chaotic, and just expects crimes against poor blacks will definitely show up. Then you come into Kenya, where you have a man who almost contested election all his life, Raila Odinga, who led the Orange Democratic Party against William Ruto in the just concluded election. He lost the election. He still cried foul. But he lost the election, hopefully, to the vice president of Uhuru Kenyatta. Now he's saying that basic goods and services, especially staple food, in Kenya are so high, and the common man cannot succeed to live when they barely earn $1 per day. And Nairobi being the opposition stronghold, he has called for a public protest against the government. And he's also asking for the election result to be turned or to be denounced or overturned, or President William Ruto should resign. And Ruto came out publicly to denounce the subversive move and caution them. And he said, nobody is going to go with impunity if you decided to go against the legal operations of the state. Police against civilians are contesting for control of power. And Raila Odinga unarguably has huge amount of followers. And because of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance, youth will definitely involve. You watch at places closer where Kenya is Somalia. Somalia is definitely not peaceful. We are Shabab. And we have seen how places like Mombasa have come on a series of attacks. And we have seen how Al-Qaeda and IC have taken effect. So now, the government of Kenya have anti-terrorist police, patrolling. Now this other chaotic scene have developed. I think the event about Africa is so sad, so unfortunate, and it's definitely not helping the fragile democracy, the fragile peace that we have. Everything is just dwindling. By the time you tune to any news on the continent, you will see everybody condemning certain things. And Kenya President William Ruto is saying that no one is above the law. Listen to what the president said. President William Ruto has said that he will not condone impunity in the country after violent protests rocked the capital, Nairobi, and the western city of Kisumu. The demonstration were organized by opposition politician Raila Odinga, who blames the government policies for exacerbating the rise in cost of living. He has also claimed without evidence that he won the last year presidential election. I will ensure as president that this country is governed by the rule of law, and nothing extra legal and nothing extra constitutional is going to be part of what we do, Mr. Ruto said. The president has accused Mr. Odinga of trying to engineer a crisis for a second time, saying he did the same after the 2017 election, forcing the then president Uhuru Kenyatta to a trial that gave him state privilege. Mr. Odinga has denied. And indeed. So we are saying this thing repeated. So I think Odinga has one type of strategy. He has contested on several occasions for the highest post in Kenya to become the first gentleman. He failed. He like Atiku Abubakar. Maybe the only difference is that Atiku has never called for a public demonstration against sitting government. But Odinga has done that on several occasions. He has actually done that on several occasions. And those things resulted into the burning down of properties, killing of innocent civilians, and even destruction of Kenya's reputation internationally. And they also come with tribal division, although their own politics is full of tribal division, full of tribal mentality, but not too much situation in terms of religion. So these are some of the things. And when we watch our scenes like this, we see other things happen. Let us see major upset in Nigeria governance election. This is just another update. There have been major political upset in some states in Nigeria as official result from Sunday's governorship election and announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The new Nigeria People's Party, formed by just months to the poll, defeated the All People Congress, that is APC, in Kano, to win the governor's state in Kano. So have you seen? Strong Muslim state. The new Nigeria's People Party, not even Peter Obi Party, the new, led by Kwankwaso, now has defeated the All People Congress, the All Progressive Congress Party in Kano State, the country's largest state and economic hub of the north. So what do you think Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do when the country, when you are talking about like Kano, is the second largest state and the economic hub of the north. Now you have it. Let us see. A similar upset was registered in neighboring Sokoto state, where the APC candidate cleaned the governorship seat, defeating the People's Democratic Party, a stronghold of APC. Now, of PDP came to the APC. Down south, incumbent governor of Lagos, Bajadi Sanowo-Olu of APC has been re-elected. Chaotic scene over there because the LP is saying that no, we won the election. We won the presidential election. We were also leading in the state election, but this so-called government came and distorted the process, bribed the electoral commissioner, and invaded so that they can do some kind of monopoly on the election, and now they have been result. Okay, so let's see. Labour Party has been defeated over there, even though they won the presidential election. But that has not elect. That is where the fellow has been. The president-elect is the whole state of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the governorship and state assembly election are the second and final part of Nigeria general election. They are the second and final part of Nigeria general election. But low voter turnout, as well as incident of violence, voter intimidation, vote buying, ballot box snatching by armed groups marred the polls. So have you seen? Vote buying, voter intimidation, incident of bandits at the polling station, hijacking of polling box. But the scene is not really giving us an appetite to think that, like in Kenya, we have seen police firing tear gas against protesters. And what will be the repercussion? We are afraid. But as a continent, as young people living on this continent, when election results almost end up in chaotic scenes like that, good citizens will end up being afraid to vote. And normally, the usual saying in politics is that when good citizens fail to vote, bad leaders are elected. But how will good citizens go to the polls to vote when arms and ammunitions are being seen all around? MACP, that is the military police aid, is seen. Then even when they are present, you will see, armed robbers and other bandits attacking peaceful voters. Some people have been assaulted, tortured. Some people are even come over there with other fracture just because they went to vote. So at the end of the day, peaceful, law-abiding citizens will watch at certain polls and they will refuse. So it's an assault on democracy. It's a calculated insult to our personality as Africans, and all of these things are definitely not happening. Now we are seeing in both Southern Africa and also in East Africa, in popular countries like Kenya and South Africa, which is found in the southern part of Africa, both opposition leaders are calling for the immediate and unconditional resignation of their presidents who were duly elected, satisfied by their Supreme Court, inaugurated, and they are leading their country, their respective countries. Now they are calling for their unconditional resignation, or else they will call on protest every week. And both presidents are saying anybody who comes out on the street to demonstrate against the city government without having police permission will definitely be treated as an enemy of the state, and nobody is bound to go with impunity. So Africa is becoming chaotic on a daily basis. It is high time we try to organize ourselves peacefully and maybe try to solve our problems without creating more trouble. Because even the mega development that we have, each time there is demonstration, each time there is protest, it results into the destruction of those little things that we have. Thanks for listening. I hope to come back with more analysis on events that happened in Africa. This was Roundtable Africa with me, Edward Amara, focused on Liberia, West African correspondent, based in Kenema City, Sierra Leone, West Africa.